Hello guys, and welcome to the Monks video. I hope you guys really enjoyed those two duels that you've just seen, and I hope they've been useful in terms of seeing what it is that I've done and how I've dueled. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you guys a little bit about strategy and give you guys a little bit of tips as well, so that you can make the most out of the abilities we've got to fight monks. Now, one thing I want to say before I start, guys, is thank you so much for all the feedback that you've given me. Obviously, I take on board what you guys say and I put it into a video, and I try and create a guide for you guys to to help fight those classes if you meet them in arena battlegrounds or even in duels. Now, obviously, the duels that I've had are focused solely on the abilities that we would have in a 1v1 situation. So before I go on any further, I wanted to say to you guys that duels with monks is very crucial in terms of what factors come into play. Every duel usually has 3 factors, and that is damage, healing, and crowd control, as you guys are probably aware. So in simple terms, monks are slightly different to any other class that you might face. Let's say in comparison to warriors, monks are different, because with warriors you can win the fight by out damaging them, but with monks you can't win the fight by just purely doing damage. You need to outlast the monk past his cooldowns. If you're playing a very good monk, he will never allow you to actually kill him in a few seconds of beginning the duel, whereas with a warrior you can do, because warriors don't have any kind of, let's say, those emergency cooldowns where it's a life-saving ability. Monks do have karma, and karma obviously works in such a way where you can dispel the damage reflection that comes onto you, but you can't dispel the absorb effect. So they will absorb it. So the best thing to do, guys, is to focus, I would say, in this instance against monks, purely on the healing side, or the healing factor of the trifactor for any encounter. When I say about healing, guys, I mean hots have always got to be on, your prayer of many, your renew, and then whenever you've got your divine star, you always use your divine star. And obviously, it goes without saying, you need to shield yourself, and if you need to and you're in a bit of an emergency, then you spend a few flash heals. Now, moving on from that, guys, monks also are very good at getting around the field. So that's why I'm going to dive into my talents here. I'm not going to explain too much as to why I've gone for this, but I just find that it works the best, and this is from testing on various different monks for a number of times, and I find this works the best. Now, obviously, for example, Void Tendrils, Body and Soul probably speaks for itself. Void Tendrils couples, and as I will demonstrate in a minute, it couples with your silence, and it works really, really well against monks. Body and Soul create space. Now, from Darkness Comes Light, I've chosen over Solace and Insanity purely because monks have so much utility to stop you from casting. They're a bit like a warrior. So with warriors, usually you can root the warrior to the ground, and usually, as I said, they don't have a life-saving ability, so you can kind of take them out if you have full Solace and Insanity, and you can get a few fake casts out and then catch them out, and then you can kill them that way. However, with monks you can't. With monks, if you catch them out, or if you make them fake cast, you fake cast and you make them use their spear or whatever it is, it's still gonna silence you. They've still got that little bit more kind of utility when it comes to interrupt. So I'm going for Darkness Comes Light. Reason why is because you only need to really cast your Shadow Word. You only really need to cast your Vampiric Touch and your Shadow Word Pain to be able to still continue the fight and damage the monk. You can still cast Mind Blast, and I would always recommend, if you can, if you've got the time to cast a Mind Blast, then by all means do so. However, even if you didn't, you still have damage on the monk, as opposed to being locked completely without any Mind Blast casts, without being able to actually get orbs together, and then you're still kind of struggling, because you still have to cast in a normal duel, whether you have Solace and Insanity or from Darkness Comes Light, you still have to cast Vampiric Touch. Reason is because you're going to run out of mana. So casting Vampiric Touch against a monk who makes it hard for you to cast every time, it means that you've only got really Vampiric Touch, which is the most crucial thing to cast, and then your Shadow Word Pain to still be able to damage them. In a scenario where the monk keeps locking you and keeps catching you out, and you're not able to get anything on them, if you're casting just your Shadow Word Pain and you haven't got Divine Insight, then you're not really doing any damage, and you're not really going to get any chance of proccing your orbs and your Mind Blasts. if you've got Solace and Insanity, again, without the orbs from this, it wouldn't really work. And the only thing you're going to be able to do is cast a Mind Blast, then you've got to cast a Vampiric Touch, then you've got a Shadow Word Pain, which is an instant, but still, it still takes time. Where as opposed to this, you're casting mainly your Vampiric Touch. Your Vampiric Touch is the only real cast that's crucial. That means you're still going to get procs from Darkness Comes Light, which do a reasonable amount of damage. And then you're also going to get your Divine Insight procs, which, as I said, sustains the damage on the monk. Makes sure that you can continue to play and still damage the monk without them having too much comfort in the fight. So that's that. With glyphs, guys, it's really up to you, but you know, this is my opinion. I think you obviously need damage mitigation from physical attacks, and you can take advantage of the 70% absorb, which is what I was using before. In my second duel, I did use Dominate Mind. I'll be honest, guys, I just used Dominate Mind because I wanted to make my life a little bit harder and see if the monk can actually, you know, take me out, I think. So, you know, just give me a little bit more of a challenge. But the trick I want to show you guys to make your life a whole lot easier against monks, it goes like this. Now, using all the talents that I've spec'd into, what you do is first of all, you cast your Power Word Shield, and then your Power Word Shield will give you Body and Soul. Now, you don't have to always do this, but it's good that you should, because it will give you more space in the long run. So you cast your Power Word Shield, and your Body and Soul comes on. After that, you have your Silence, which isn't on the global cooldown. If you guys didn't know, but then you should know now that your Silence is not on the global cooldown. So when you actually use Silence, you can use any other ability coupled with it. So for example, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cast Body and Soul, come up to the target here, and then Root and Silence at the same time. Now, as you guys saw, I had 5 seconds of pure cast. So this was basically locking the monk down for 5 seconds, because you're silencing them, so they can't use their root breaking abilities, they can't use their second trinket. The only thing they can really do is they can interrupt you, which is why you've moved about 20 yards away, maybe a little bit less than 20 yards. And the only other thing they can do is they use their sap ability, which also needs to be in close range or fairly close range, which is why you move about 20. You should try and aim for about 20 to 25 yards away to make it more effective. The other thing that they can obviously do is trinket, but if they trinket and you know you've used a very low cooldown, 30 seconds and then 45 seconds, and they've used the trinket already, so you're already on an advantage. Now guys, I'm going to show you this again because it's really very effective. It helps you to cast, it helps you to open. Obviously, aside from your Geist, you're obviously going to have Spectral Geist, so you can Spectral Geist and then use another cast, and that buys time. I usually try to get Mind Blast on, then straight away use Vampiric Touch, then use Shadow Word Pain at the end. Reason why is because first cast, you know, you're buying time, and then you've got to really cast the most crucial spells first, which means Vampiric Touch and Mind Blast. Then you go for Shadow Word Pain. Now I'm going to show you the trick again, guys, so it just becomes a little bit clearer. The way I would burst against a monk if I had my full orbs is as such. Now what I would do also is I'll make sure at least I've got maybe like one proc, like now. No, I just used it by accident. So I'll have one proc. It doesn't matter if it's a proc from, as you see there, the Darkness Comes Light. So I would come like this, and then I would use my Devouring Plague, and then I would use Mind Flayer. Now, as you saw there, guys, I did it when I had procs. Now, if you're going to use your Vampiric Embrace to the fullest, you need to have the procs, because you're not using Insanity. Therefore, your Mind Flayers are just Mind Flayers. They're not really causing that much damage. I mean, your procs from Darkness Comes Light are much better in this situation, because you're trying to use the crucial time that you have a Vampiric Embrace to heal yourself back up and to cause the most amount of damage. That would work better if you waited for a couple of procs from Darkness Comes Light, or even if you're lucky enough to get a Mind Blast proc, or even very lucky and get all three, then you go ahead and use the trick, root, silence, move away. Most crucially is you move away, then you pop your Devouring Plague, then you use your procs straight after that. Then once all of those are finished, you use your Mind Flare, and you can't Mind Flare short whenever you do find yourself with another proc.